Trust in your eyes and just listen to the experts as CNN shows you vehicles burning.
Peaceful protests, people that are there to protest.
MSNBC watches them skirmish with the feds.
These are peaceful people that want to.
Anybody watching right now, this is going down like 45 minutes to an hour away from me right now in LA. I covered it this morning, but it looks like there's been an update.
Get their message across. They brought signs. They're out.
Who would live on 80 euros per month and donate everything else to churches, schools, etc. Just give me a sec. I want to check something real quick. Because I saw a little bit about this dingleberry going out and screwing around in LA.
LA's about to start getting lit on fire soon. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people talking.
Trump orders National Guard to LA for immigration raids to trigger protests. Okay, that's not what the National Guard does. He can order them, but traditionally the governor and the mayor of the city have to request the National Guard because the National Guard is made out of local entities for that state.
About this, LAPD is collaborating with ICE. This is outside of Ambience Factory.
Law enforcement is collaborating with law enforcement. I'm shocked. I'm shocked, Hassan, that law enforcement would do such a thing. It's almost like they're supposed to enforce the law. Sorry, I'm just updating the stream title.
Another clear example
True.
of the LAPD and the LA.
Yeah, Havoc, I'm not saying that law enforcement's always right. All I'm saying is that it's pretty not for them to word it like this is pretty weird.
LAPD and the city of Los Angeles collaborating with ICE, proving that the sanctuary city was always bullshit.
Yeah. It is bullshit. Think about the premise of a sanctuary city. We're going to harbor criminals. People who broke federal law. We're going to protect them. That's of course it's bullshit. What did you think? Did you think that California would go to war with the federal government over a virtue signal?
Mayor of LA Silence supports this. Apparently, Homeland Security and ICE is raiding a downtown Los Angeles warehouse right now. They've locked the doors and holding the employees inside. This is straight.
No. Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
Straight up Gestapo breaking.
No, not at all. That's called doing an investigation, Hassan. Do you think that how do you think it works when you make an arrest? Do you think they're just like they just go in, they have their one person and that's it? No. They have to investigate what's going on, dude. They lock the doors to secure the scene, to secure the evidence so that they can conduct their investigation into who's who. Why are you supporting a business that's taking advantage of illegal personnel, people who can't get a lawyer, people who aren't subject to the laws and restrictions of employment, people who don't get the benefits of a union? Why are you supporting businesses taking advantage of that?
The president of California's largest union has been detained during an ICE raid. The SEIU California president David Huerta injured, detained at ICE raid in Los Angeles. What the Mayor Karen Bass.
One sec. I'm going to go back. I want to see that. California President David Huerta injured, detained by ICE. Where does it say he's actually injured in this?
Angeles. What?
This worker was injured and detained by ICE. What is his injury? So you're just taking it as fact. Okay.
Mayor Karen Bass says we will not stand for this. This morning, we received reports of federal immigration enforcement actions in multiple locations in Los Angeles. The mayor of a proud city of immigrants who always contributes to the city in so many ways. I am deeply angered by what has taken place. Okay, why the did the LAPD also do a perimeter outside of the ICE enforcement?
Okay, what do you want them to do, Hassan? Do they just want You just want to let these protesters run in and beat the shit out of the ICE people doing their job? You just want them to go beat up federal agents? So you want the protesters to put themselves in danger? What's your request here?
Enforcement action, like you're the mayor, Mayor Karen Bass.
Nice little nervous laugh. I'm pretty sure everyone heard that. Hopefully we didn't see it, right?
You have control over your goons.
They're not goons. They're officers of the law, and they don't operate off of what Karen Bass does. She doesn't get to tell them what to do. They have to follow the guidelines and the restrictions of the law.
LA emergency protests from the Community Self-Defense Coalition stop deportations now. ICE has hundreds of members of our community kidnapped and is holding them at this location.
Not kidnapped, detained, and questioned. There's a difference. They use these buzzwords. They use these buzzwords all the time to try to obfuscate any kind of wrongdoing.
What the fuck is happening, bro? What the fuck? This is my backyard. Jesus, Lord mercy.
I love the fact that he's dressed like a budget Che Guevara. That's hilarious. What is it? Che Guevara wears Prada?
FBI riot team is out in the streets of Los Angeles and getting pushed out by community on the ground. I can't even go down there today because my live stream backpack got canceled.
Out here, back to you.
Oh no. Oh no.
I have to get it. I have to reopen an account. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
But what we want to point out here is how these officers are now leaving. The ATF officers are very slowly moving, and you'll notice that some on the ground are trying to get the people to move out of the way. We have a piece of video that showed the vans as they were departing with some of the people that had been detained in those vans, and it was a very different scene. You can see that they've gotten the people.
Holy sh! This is madness, dude.
That looks actually pretty orderly. They're not tossing people like packages. They're putting them into the car. They have them handcuffed. They're worrying about their well-being. How is this at all madness? How is this madness, Hassan? It's not.
Dude, Jesus Christ. The Gestapo is out and about. Especially,
of course, he puts some footage from World War II Germany.
Actually, where in LA is this? Is downtown Los Angeles.
No, this is Berlin.
Downtown Los Angeles. This is a crazy place to do this because California is a state that has a shit ton of immigrants in it and a shit ton of undocumented immigrants in it as well. And it's supposed to be a sanctuary state, and Los Angeles is supposed to be a sanctuary city. So not only will the people of Los Angeles not fuck around with this, and they'll definitely get very, very mad about this, but also on top of that, like the state government and the local government is supposed to protect these people.
No, the government is supposed to follow the law. And if the feds come in with a warrant, they are supposed to work with them. Hassan, you are lying to your viewers. Sanctuary, you know what? Just to avoid any kind of misconception, we will look up what does sanctuary city mean, or sanctuary state. A sanctuary city in general terms refers to a jurisdiction, often a city or a county, that limits its cooperation with federal immigration authorities. This means they may not actively assist in enforcing federal immigration laws, such as detaining undocumented immigrants or sharing information about their immigrant status with federal agencies. Oh, because they're subsidized by the government. Here in California, our governor sets aside a vast amount of our taxpayer money, not paid into by the illegal immigrants, paid into by the citizens of California, and uses those funds to not only encourage them coming here, but to protect them while they're here. So in the sanctuary state that I live in, if, say, an illegal immigrant beats someone up, gets arrested, in Texas, they would run his name and see that they're an illegal immigrant, and they would notify ICE. Okay? Here in California, prior to Donald Trump's recent order, they would just arrest that person, and they would not contact ICE. And if ICE came to try to get that person transferred, they would intentionally not cooperate with ICE. Okay, that's not always true either. Is such a thing that as illegal that do pay taxes, but it's rare. It is rare. The exception is not the rule. All right, that's what I operate off of. The exception is not the rule. The 1% does not dictate the 99%. Most of the time is what I'm going to operate off of. And most of the time, the only taxes that illegal immigrants do pay is sales tax. And I don't hate illegal immigrants. I don't harbor any ill will towards them. In fact, most businesses who hire them are taking advantage of them. I feel bad for these people. But my generosity only goes so far.
People. What the f?
But then there's guys like this who use buzzwords like fascism, authoritarianism, government oversight to talk about any action that they just don't like, no matter how lawful it is. No, notice his demeanor. Notice his demeanor. The words he's saying. He's saying he's so up in arms. He just says what the fuck over and over. He says all these buzzwords to show he's really animated about this. But look how he's sitting. Look how calm he is. Look how controlled he is. He doesn't actually feel these feelings. He doesn't actually feel the things he's saying. He's lying to his audience about everything, even the things that he's allegedly feeling right now. The outrage is burning in his soul, that little fire in his heart, the little rebel Che Guevara right there saying he feels all these things. He's fucking lying.
Stay on the sidewalk, please. Stay on the sidewalk.
Look how these guys are operating. If these guys were really attacking the citizenry of California and Los Angeles, why are they gently pushing them to the side and clearing away? Why aren't they hitting him with billy clubs? Because he's lying. It's not true. These police officers are here with a job. They have an operation to conduct, and they're conducting it with the best possible way they can with the local populace without trying to injure them.
Earlier today, Stephen Miller let out a notice to ICE and Homeland Security and Customs and Border Patrol to 5x their apprehension numbers, by the way. This is...
In midday, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller frustrated over we saw numbers of arrests and deportation of unauthorized immigrants were too low for rated that threatened that fire senior immigrations and customs enforcement officials if they did not begin detaining 3,000 immigrants a day, according to two sources who spoke to attendees. Okay. This is not a direct quote from Stephen Miller. This is, if you look at the wording, not the highlighted section, you look at the entirety of it, this is secondhand account. That's why it's not in quotations. That's why it doesn't say who said it. That's why they leave it open. This is nothing but conjecture to rile people up, and they present it as a fact.
Their apprehension numbers, by the way. This is the result of that. And
he hops on it. He eats that shit up.
Obviously, because all of the actual criminal migrants were already being prosecuted by the previous administration, as I told you. The only...
Oh, all of them were, Hassan? All of the criminal migrants?
People that they can actually get are non-criminal migrants that are waiting for asylum. And another way to try and boost those numbers and continue mass deportations is trying to have people with asylum cases that are already on the court docket come into the court.
A new tactic, ICE arresting immigrants, courts attorneys say. Yeah, they're doing it after their hearing. So yes, is there ICE and customs enforcement sitting inside of courtrooms? No. Are they sitting outside the courtrooms? Yes. They're waiting for them to get their judicial process. They're waiting for their courts to be heard, their cases to be heard. And once it's found that they are not here legally or they do not have a legitimate asylum claim, they are getting arrested. I've seen the videos. I'll search it after this. We could find it. And that's perfectly legal. They have the warrant. They have all their paperwork. They have all their ducks in a row. What is wrong with that? A judge has deemed them to be here illegally. What is the problem with arresting them and removing them?
Courts. And then apprehend them at the hallways of the courts. Like, they bring people in and they're like, oh, here's your regular court order date. And they go into the court, they talk to the judge, they walk outside, and they get apprehended.
He's intentionally obfuscating the fact that they don't just go in there and say, hi, judge, bye, judge. No, they go in there, they get their due process, and when the judge determines that you're not eligible for an asylum claim, they are then detained, arrested, and removed from this nation. What's sad, Havoc? What's Havoc? What's sad?
They're honeypotting people who are...
That's not honeypotting. That's not what that means. He's intentionally using another word, what's the word I'm looking for? Just something to get your attention. He's using these phrases to get your attention and completely get you to ignore the facts of the statement, which he doesn't have any facts. He's just using conjecture and lies, and obviously trying to avoid doing direct lies by not providing context.
Lawfully cooperating with the federal government.
And they're lawfully arresting these people.
They did this with Mohsen Mahdawi as well, if you remember.
Judge releases Palestinian student at Columbia who was arrested at citizenship
where
interview.
He was a green card holder who went into a naturalization ceremony where they fucking kidnapped him. So he wasn't even like an undocumented migrant and an asylum seeker with like the proper documentation, waiting for his application to be fulfilled, which again is legal. This kind of enforcement is not done.
I want to do a quick fact check. Hassan could be right about this. I've never heard about this. Let's look at this guy's name real quick.
Naturalization ceremony where they Mahdawi as well.
All right. Really passing. All right. Columbia citizen. All right. Let's look that up real quick. Judge releases Palestinian student at Columbia. Early March, Mahsan Mahdawi, a Palestinian student at Columbia University, was arrested by immigration authorities while attending a citizenship interview. He was released from custody on April 30th, 2025 by a federal judge in Vermont. Mahdawi has been a prominent figure in pro-Palestinian. What was he arrested for? Let's Google his name. Arrested lawful university and lawful resident has arrested at ICE 14 April while attending naturalization review. The primary reason cited was arrest was subsequent detention was his advocacy for Palestinian rights, including his involvement in campus protests. All right, let's look for the arresting document. Probably not going to find it. Saying that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, determined his presence in the United States would have been serious adverse foreign policy consequences due to his leadership involvement in pro-Palestinian protests in Colombia. Okay, so that's important to look up. The Secretary of State, who does have the authority to remove green cards, wanted him arrested, but it still has to go through due process. So if the question is, does the Secretary of the State have the authority to initiate that process? Yes, he does. His office is in charge of all green cards in the nation. That's how it works.
Well, if you remember, where he was a green card holder who went into a proper documentation, waiting for his application to be fulfilled, which again is legal. This kind of enforcement is not done to stop crime, is my argument. Is my point. This kind of enforcement is done specifically to engage in a white nativist, anti-immigrant propaganda operation.
You are like the king of propaganda operations, my guy. What are you talking about? So when you file, people who are under a green card, they agree to a certain list of protocol, a certain list of things that they're allowed to do. Okay, they're not allowed to. They don't get the same rights as American citizen because the green card is not citizenship. Okay, they get to do certain things. Okay, so when that happens, they are under the purview of the government, who could, if they violate that agreement, the green card holder, they can remove that green card. And in order to do that, the Secretary of the State or the Department of the State can do that and initiate that process. Now, I don't know the nuances of this person specifically. That's what I'm about to say. I'm about to say that, Havoc. Clearly, Secretary of State Marco Rubio lost in this case because this person was not deported. This person was arrested, questioned. He went through the judicial process, and the judge in Vermont ruled in his favor. That's how it works. That's not an authoritarian thing. Okay? And if he was involved in the riot at Columbia or the protest in Columbia, if you come in here and you agree to the green card agreement, and then you start speaking all this anti-American stuff, if you start saying that, or if you start showing support and not just showing support, but gathering support for enemies of the state. Oh, I understand. I'm not saying you are. I would never say you are. You speak for yourself just like we all do. I understand. If you start showing support for enemies of the state, that's one thing. But if you start gathering support and build an organization to gain support for enemies of the state, then yeah, you're probably going to get your green card challenged or revoked. And that's perfectly legal to do.
This is one federal overreach of epic magnitude going into a
Thanks
sanctuary
for the follow.
state.
Appreciate it. If it were possible, I'd love to have a photo of your kind of I am not kind and I am not charming. I appreciate it though. Oh, that's funny. It is a matter of national security, yes.
And going into a sanctuary city where no one in California, people in California yell about the crime all the time, but no one in California talks about undocumented migrants. People in California.
Not true. All the time. All the time they do.
California.
This man is so far removed from the actual status quo of what an average day citizen lives with, what an average person goes through. He has no idea. This man has lived a silver spoon in his mouth his entire life. From the moment he started his platform, he was already a millionaire. This guy has no idea what it means to struggle. This guy has no idea what it means to eat fucking sleep for dinner.
Do not point to undocumented migrants and say, this is insane, we have to do something about it. As a matter of fact, it's one of the greatest examples that I always use all the time. Like, people will make a big fuss about undocumented migrants in Texas, but there's more undocumented migrants in the state of California.
Oh, no. Is it crazy that the place where there's the most undocumented migrants complains about it? Is that really what you're saying? Yes. People who are right next to the border and the most commonly crossed border, Hassan, guess what? They're going to complain about the problem because it's more prevalent there. That's a crazy concept. Just like someone in Arizona complaining about undocumented migrants is probably going to be a lot more common than someone in fucking Tennessee or someone in New York because it's farther from the border. I'm shocked that people who are closer to the issue en masse are talking about that issue more. Just like people in New York are complaining about big ass fucking rats. I don't think people in Texas are going to be complaining about rats that are the size of fucking Rottweilers. Two different problems that are, geographically consistent.
California, and yet no one ever complains about it because it is a part of our communities. Undocumented and documented migrants are a big part of our community.
Okay, give us an example.
It is a part of the social fabric in Los Angeles. It's a social fabric and a part of the California culture.
Why is that? Is it because they're counted on the census and the Democrats like them?
They are workers that pay taxes.
No, they're workers who get taken advantage of. They get taken advantage of. That's the facts. They get taken advantage of, especially in construction jobs, because that's mostly what they get asked to do. Because they are not legally allowed to sign contracts. Undocumented means they don't get a work visa. They get no protections under the law. And all these predatory businesses will hire them All right, they'll hire them. They'll ask them to work for them. They'll do good work, and then all of a sudden, you'll see that the next thing you know, after the job's done, a paddy wagon pulls up and these people get arrested. And then how the boss doesn't have to pay them. These people get taken advantage of every day. Okay. And not only that, the ones that don't get taken advantage of, the ones who do get the job and do get paid under the table, that job gets taken away from an American citizen. And the person, the business owner who's paying them that job now gets to pay the undocumented person less. It's something I've seen my entire life. I've lived in California almost my entire adult life. Certainly my entire life till I went to 18, and then I went away in the Navy. Isn't it any different when they use to go to farm harvesting the land?
They're just trying to make a living. They're not doing
I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, Havoc. I'm sorry. Could you try rewording that for me, bud?
anything to anyone. They're not, they're not disrupting anything. And yet,
no, they are disrupting stuff because a lot of the social and economic support that's for the homeless of American citizens or for the people who are losing their jobs, because the job market is not great for California right now. It's fucking awful. All these programs are supposed to help that the citizens paid into are dwindling because these people used to pick tomatoes, for example. Oh, are you? Yeah, the same thing happens. The farmers who hire these people to do the manual labor to pick their avocados and tomatoes and stuff, yeah, they also pay them a lower amount than they would have to pay an American to do it. They don't have to pay for insurance. They don't have to do all of this stuff. Because what are these people going to do? They're gonna go tell the police. They're not going to call the police. Call the police and tell them what? That I'm an illegal immigrant taking advantage of? They're going to get arrested for being an illegal immigrant. So no, yeah, the farmers especially do that. And I'm not talking about the onesie twosies mom and pop farmers. I'm talking about the national farmers.
Now the federal government has decided that they're going to do this anyway. And here we are.
The federal government's decided that they're going to enforce the law. I'm shocked.
A tremendous amount of resistance and a tremendous amount of resentment born out of this kind of illegal enforcement.
Is it? Or is it born out of people like you spinning a narrative trying to say that, oh, no, these people aren't evil. These people aren't breaking the law. These people aren't contributing to drugs, crime, thievery. People aren't getting taken advantage of. These people aren't contributing to child sex trafficking. No, they're just kind people. No.
Ridiculous action. Our leadership needs to step in. This is the reason why people vote.
The leadership is stepping in, Hassan. That is what's happening. The nation's leadership is stepping in. This is an 80-20 issue when you're on the 20 side of it.
Democrat to step in times like this so that there are sanctuary.
Yep, there he goes. Vote D no matter the. That happens over here massively with Eastern Europeans with particular. They work hard as hell for far less pay. Yeah, they work hard as hell. I agree that a lot of these illegal migrants will work their ass off for the minimal pay because they're also afraid of getting sent away. I wish there was a better way. I wish there was a better way. We can't fix our immigration system. We can't fix the path of citizenship while also combating this issue on such a large scale. It's not physically possible. Logistically speaking, it is not possible. Yeah, they want to make this isn't a left or a right thing. This isn't something that is D no matter the or R no matter what. This is something that can only be fixed together, but both sides got to give a little bit. For us to think that the government should fix the path to citizenship. I don't know a single person that I've met that will say, "Oh, the path to citizenship is perfect. The 10-year process to go through, the thousands of dollars they have to spend to become a citizenship." I agree with vetting. But right now, when the immigration system has a backlog of let's look it up. Let's look up the backlog of immigration case right now. Stop it. Yeah, I'll take care of the dogs in a sec. Have a good day at work. Holy crap. The U.S. immigration system faces a significant backlog with millions of cases pending both immigration courts and agencies, the USCIS. As of March 2025, the immigration courts have been a backlog of 3.6 million cases. 2 million pending asylum cases, according to the National Immigration Forum. How is this remotely possible? Let's look at the resources. Let's do this like a budget. Let's look at this logistically speaking. Let's see how many immigration there are judges. $700 immigration judges. There are 700 immigration judges. Okay? $3.6 million divided by 700. That's 5,104. I'm going to round up. 5,143 cases a judge for one person to take on. Okay? How long? Let's look up how long. Takes several months. In court hours. Let's see if I can get this in. Can last about an hour. So each one lasts about an hour. Let's pull up our calculator again. Let's do the math again because I accidentally reset it. Okay, so that's 5,143 free. So that's 5,143 hours. All right, for each judge. Let's multiply that by 24. That is 123,432 days. It would take 700 judges, if they started right now, to get that backlog done. It would take them, if they used to work 24 hours a day, it would take them 123,432 fucking days to get through that backlog. I'm sorry, but that doesn't seem fucking feasible to me. That doesn't seem doable. How could we honestly get through that when that backlog is not stagnant? It's increasing. It's getting worse by the minute.
Consider protections. It is ridiculous. The fact that Los Angeles Police Department was offering cover for ICE and federal law enforcement to engage in this dragnet.
It's not called providing cover for ICE. It's called cooperating with the law. It's called law enforcement, Hassan, something you know extremely little about and you don't seem to care about because you just want a virtue signal.
Operation at a fucking warehouse is completely unacceptable. I can't believe it. Like, this is pure and utter fascism in full.
And this is pure and utter idiocracy. This is someone who just lives in the gray area and wants no interest in actually finding out the facts or doing any kind of research of their own.
Full display. Make up a fake problem. Undocumented migrants are responsible for crime. And then in the process of
well, Hassan, I'm not saying they're responsible for crime. I'm not saying. Which word? Fascism? How can undocumented migrants offend rate lower than U.S. born citizens? If you're here illegally, you're a crime. Every day you're here illegally, that's a crime. So 100% of undocumented migrants are by definition criminal. I'm not saying they're evil people. I'm not saying they're bad people, but they are committing a crime by being here. I can't just go to Mexico and exist there without going through the border and going through a process. I can't just go to Japan. When I was in Japan and living there for 3 years, I was there legally. I went through a process. If I would have stayed there, I would have been deported. I would have been arrested and I would have been removed if I did not leave when my time was done. How come America is the only place where we're not allowed to enforce our laws of immigration? How come we don't have any, do we not have any right to being a sovereign nation? What's the problem here?
Fixing the fake problem that you made up, that you really whipped up a frenzy around. You go and you hurt regular ass people, normal ass people. You're just your neighbors. You know what I mean?
They're not our neighbors.
People that are not causing harm to anybody, while simultaneously claiming that you are doing this because you have to go after criminals. Okay, why are you deporting 4-year-old cancer?
That's not true. This is 100% a lie. They did not deport these children. They deported the mother. The mother chose to take the children with her. That's different. These children are American citizens and can come back anytime they want in the future. They can come back tomorrow if they want. They just can't bring her with them. This is intentional obfuscation of the facts. This is an intentional lack of nuance to spin a narrative.
Patients then. Why are you deporting mothers? Why are you going to a warehouse where people are working during the workday to do a dragnet operation?
They're doing that because they got word that a business was taking advantage of illegal immigrants and doing something illegal. It is illegal for businesses to hire illegal immigrants. What part of that aren't you understanding? What do you want them to do? You want them to treat it like Twitch treats you? Do they want them to ban you on Sunday on your day off? Do you want them that? Maybe they should go into these warehouses, businesses when they're closed down. What the hell do you want, Hassan? What's better? Going to when all the personnel who are attending to arrests are in one place, or do you want them to kick down every single door of these people's houses? What is more expedient? What is safer? Having thousands of hours spent tracking these people, finding out where they live and doing all this stuff and doing it piecemeal, or doing it all at once in a centralized location that you can get them all at once? Which one's better in your opinion? Logistically. I'm not saying personally, I'm saying logistically, which one makes more sense to you guys? Please, in the comments, tell me which one makes more sense. If you have a group of subjects that you are trying to detain and investigate and arrest, would you rather get them while they're all in one spot, or would you rather follow them home for weeks to learn their schedules and then get thousands of police officers involved to try to go to each one of their houses at the same time and arrest them? Which one logistically is better? Which one is safer in your opinion?
And apprehend as many people as you possibly can. Why? Are those the criminals? And it's not happening for any good reason other than the fact that the Republicans have
Other than the fact that they are breaking the law.
Successfully dehumanized.
That's not what it is. I'm not saying that these people don't have a right to sovereignty. I'm saying that these people cut the line. These people were taken advantage of by cartels, but they did break the law. They broke the law, Hassan. That's why they're being arrested.
Entire swaths of the American population. Make no mistake, a lot of these dudes that they're apprehending are already either A, waiting for their court date, and they are...
So they get a court date. They show up so this Hassan, in Hassan's perfect world, they get to show up here illegally, break our laws, come to this country, tag home base, and now we're supposed to fucking wait? No, dude. I just did the math. It'll take, what was it? Fucking 1,000, what crazy number of days? 123,432 days to get through the backlog if we started right now with 24/7, 700 judges, never take any time. I don't know how many hours that is, Hassan. Oh, wait, no, I do know. It's 123,432 days. That's how many. That's how long it would take.
They have the legal allowance to be inside of U.S. borders. They are simply waiting for their court date so they can get processed or have actual visas, temporary.
No, he's intentionally poisoning the well with this one. No, if they have a visa, they are not part of this group. You know that. He knows that, and he's doing it on purpose. If they have a visa, they are not listed, and they may be detained if they're participating in this, but they will be released. Okay? They do this. They find out, oh, this ICE raided a facility and detained everybody. But what they will say is ICE raided a facility and detained this one guy who had a visa. What they won't tell you is that when this facility, there was 13 other people who were here illegal who were arrested, and that the citizens who were also there were detained and questioned, that everybody in that facility was detained. But they will find the one person who has a visa. They will say they detained a person unlawfully, which is not true. They will say they detained a person with a visa, and then they will make it because he's not white. They will make a racial claim. That is what these guys do.
Work orders. They are allowed to be here. They're allowed to work. It's the administration that magically removes that dial or turns it in the other direction and says, nah, you're illegal now. You're an illegal alien. We have revoked your protection. Do you understand? When someone says illegal alien, there is an image in the back of people's minds, a racist one for the most part.
I fucking called it. Look at me go. It's almost like they have a playbook.
This idea that like some MS-13 tatted up gang member secretly.
Are you seriously conflating a berserk tattoo and the peace sign with gang tattoos?
Hopped over the border, right? And came in with a bunch of drugs, maybe like kidnapped people, did a bunch of crimes. That's not how it is here.
It honestly, for the
if you want to understand like how little this has anything to do with criminality, look at this. Trump's masked ICE Gestapo snatches a woman when her lawyer goes to the bathroom, then forcibly carries her into an elevator after she appears to faint. They wait when someone is at an immigration court proceeding. They're in the hallway. ICE comes in, apprehends.
Good for us. We have the ability to look this up. We have the ability to provide context. Tennessee. Let's see. What
The person in the hallway when they notice that her lawyer is in the bathroom.
Hold on, let's get her lawyer.
Her lawyer's in the bathroom. That's why they're taking her now. You waited until her
6/5/25. That's what I needed. San Francisco. Why is this San Francisco? No, that's not what we wanted. Whatever. We'll just have to watch this video.
Her lawyer leaves. Seriously. Her lawyer's in the bathroom. I'm recording this.
Mask agents, by the way. It's illegal now for you to wear a mask when you're at a protest or just in general, even if you want to mask up for other safety or your.
What other safety, Hassan? What other safety other than to hide your identity? I'm sorry, but the summer of love riots in 2020, every one of them was masked. What other
own privacy, but also like again for health.
Oh, so protesters have a right to privacy, but these agents don't?
Health reasons, right? You don't want to be a super spreader or whatever. That's illegal. But cops, they can wear masks to hide and protect their identities. Interesting. Public servants wearing masks to hide their identities.
Almost as interesting as violent rioters using masks to hide their identities.
Why has this become such a common meta, you think?
Oh, so it's rules for thee and not for me? So you're allowed to have your side hide their identity, but not the police. They're not allowed to hide their identity against cohorts who have proven to dox people, harass people, break into houses, surround the houses of Supreme Court justices. And, oh, I don't know, didn't governor's mansion just get blown up?
It's become a common meta because they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing is Nazi shit. They know.
No, they know what you'll do and what your cohorts will do. You'll blast them on the internet and expect the most extreme of your fan base to go do something about it.
Oh, that there is going to be repercussions for this kind of behavior. It should be.
Yeah, it's called Your Side. Beating down their door, harassing them, and trying to ruin their lives and threatening children.
Illegal for the cops to wear masks while they're in the process of doing cop shit. We pay these people salaries. What do you mean? They get to just...
So that gives you the right to all their information? That gives you a right to all their identity? You, Hassan Piker, YouTube extraordinaire, get to judge them and put their information out while they're just trying to make a living while enforcing our laws?
It's like apprehend people at their court proceedings.
Her lawyer's in the bathroom. Hey, Kate, they're taking your client. Kate, they're taking your client. She's fainting, Kate.
Can I go in the bathroom?
She's a female. Yes, you're allowed to go in the bathroom. Dude, she's fainting on the hallway. Wait until get medical. No. You can't. You want a medical? You can't transport her. You need to leave her. Get medical services. Come on. No. Hey, quit. You can't.
This can lead to random ass people pretending to be cops. It
What the hell does that even mean?
already has. A bunch of white supremacists have also been deputized, according to eyewitness testimony so far in other parts.
Okay, according to no facts. What is that? That's a Celtic knot. That tattoo, that is not a Nazi symbol. That is not a white supremacist symbol. That's a Celtic knot. You're a fucking idiot.
Parts of the country, they don't have enough manpower to do this kind of shit to begin with the police force that already exists. Even though the police force that already exists is pretty fucking large, trying to do mass deportations of 20 million people, Gestapo style, like Nazi Germany style, requires an endless amount of support. They have to deputize people or use the military or use the National Guard. That's what the federal government is trying to do.
You can't manhandle her into an elevator. You're manhandling her into an elevator.
She's under arrest, dude. What do you expect?
You're manhandling her into an elevator, dude. Her lawyer's in the bathroom.
Is there someone that knows the legal ramifications of intervening on this? Oh, there is nothing. Like, I mean, you will also go to jail.
Okay. I thought he was about to say there is none. Yeah, there absolutely is. It's called interference of an arrest. You will be arrested. It's called that. You will absolutely be arrested. It's a felony.
They'll probably release you, or you'll get obstruction of justice charges. The only way to stop this is with overwhelming numbers. When there are like a lot of people, like too many people, and the cops feel unsafe, I guess, to conduct their activities like this. Only then have I ever seen police officers back away.
So you've seen police officers back away when they're being threatened by a large crowd. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that when two humans are trying to conduct business, when they're trying to do their job and arrest criminals, and they're surrounded by hundreds of people, that they get scared and leave. Truly a baffling concept.
There are images from Minneapolis and even parts of San Diego.
So this is him, not directly, but somewhat, in my opinion, encouraging his fan base to do exactly that. To anytime they see the police doing their job, to surround them and scare them and intimidate them, so that the criminal heroes can get set free.
Or even what you're seeing right now, this kind of mobilization, like mass community mobilization, protecting one another when our institutions won't protect us, is the only way to disrupt these sorts of illegal and unjustifiable, unconscionable acts that the federal government is entertaining and engaging in. And of course, given the way that this administration is actively trying to criminalize speech, I'm certain that even me saying this,
please provide an example. Provide an example of them trying to criminalize speech, because I'm pretty sure the left, no offense to the left and right, I'm not trying to do that narrative, but the left and the Democrats you love so dearly have all but criminalized any opinion that they don't like. Not criminalize it formally, but in every single one of their attempts, they call it hate speech. Anything they don't like, they call it hate speech. Here on Twitter, I mean, Twitter used to do it, but here on Twitch, more like, anyone who calls someone fat, anyone who calls someone anything else, who's remotely right of center, like Tectone, calls someone who is, in fact, meets the definition of a whore, after this person and another person called him a rapist with no evidence, something that could ruin his life. He was banned for 7 days. And then Twitch apologized, but yet kept the ban going for the entire weekend. Yeah, but you're right. The Trump administration is the one trying to ban speech.
One day could be presented as illegal. Oh, Hassan is urging people to do something illegal. It's like, no, people have a right to engage in civil disobedience, and there are unjustifiable acts that this.
No, people have a right to engage in peaceful protest, Hassan. Stop lying to your audience.
State engages in that people have every right to resist against. If you
stop telling people to resist arrest, Hassan, you're going to get them more charges and you're going to get people hurt. They have a right to First Amendment. They have a right to representation. They have a right to a lawyer. You are telling them to actively fight against police, and that is wrong.
look at our history with chattel slavery and the defense of chattel slavery, if you look at our history with the civil rights struggle, and you understand that brave individuals that found these actions, these legal actions by the state to be unconscionable and took matters into their own hands.
No, they organized, they built coalitions, and then they got the laws changed through the proper process. They got the laws changed by not by attacking the police, not by doing riots, but by organizing, doing peaceful protests, and getting the job done through a vote. You want people to tear down the structures and burn down buildings. There's a big stark difference between what you want and what legends like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Gandhi did. You, sir, are a liar. You, sir, are someone who is trying to ignite fear and discourse in the community.
And protested against these kinds of actions and disrupted these kinds of illegal and unjustifiable actions. If you find those people to be in the right historically, then you can understand where we're at right now as well. This is inhumane, right? You're ripping people away from their day-to-day existence for no reason other than the fact that you want them out of the country, right? By lying about their background, saying that they're criminals and dehumanizing them in the exact same way that Nazis did with Jews, socialists, communists, and using the same process to basically rip them away from their communities, away from their families, away from their loved ones, away from their place of work, because that's what the Nazis did as well. It was a process of.
There's one of those buzzwords again. He does the buzzword. That's all he does. Just buzzwords, talking about Nazis and fascism and authoritarianism. This is the same guy who dresses up as Che Guevara in his streams.
Denaturalization. Jews were no longer considered citizens of the state after the race laws. Same with socialists and communists that were also sent to these concentration camps.
I love how every time he wants to bring a comparison to today, he has to go back over 70 years. 70 fucking years. Actually, more like 90 years because it's 1935. He has to go back 90 years to find something comparable to support his narrative. Hassan, what the hell are you doing? Clearly, this is not valid today. Clearly, this is not how things are today, but yet you want to trick your viewership to thinking that it is, and that's nonsense. Anybody with two brain cells that rub together can see what you're doing.
They were considered no longer individuals of the state. They were actively dehumanized against, and then simultaneously, through the legal process, they became
And this isn't even, if you look at what he's pulling up, this is not even American law. This is Germany. This is Nazi Germany in 1933. This is their policies. This is never the policy of the United States of America. What the fuck are you talking about, Hassan? This was never ratified by Congress. This was never something that was allowed in this nation. What are you talking about?
Through the legal process, they became non-citizens, and you can do whatever you want to non-citizens in the, at the time.
But he refuses to give the context that this was 1933 in Nazi Germany. He's not giving that context, saying, oh, this is something that was legal in America or is legal in America. It's not at all the same thing. It's completely different. This is the difference between an apple and a fucking orange. It's even worse than that. This is between the apple and a fucking slice of pepperoni. They're nothing close to the same.
Clearly, that's what this administration is trying to do as well. So even the mechanism.
Yet he won't pull up a single document from this information and administration showing that. The only thing he can pull up is Wikipedia about 1933 Germany. Not anything to show any kind of laws or any kind of proposed law to happen here in America. Nothing.
Of the state are damn near identical. And I do.
How so? Give us an example.
Not think that this will stop with just.
Even his dog's getting tired of his bullshit and walking off.
Just undocumented migrants Why do you need fascism in a country like the US? Both parties are already puppets of capitalists. Great question. It's because when both parties are still puppets of capitalists and capital owners, there is still a lot of instability born out of the contradictions worsening. There's still a lot of economic volatility, economic instability, and people get angry, they get restless, and one party, at the very least, has to redirect that attention and redirect that anger and resentment towards more vulnerable populations in an effort to keep things going. Because if people don't actually decide that undocumented migrants or like trans people or all these like vulnerable, defenseless populations are actually responsible.
How are they defenseless, Hassan? They throw that in there. That's another buzzword that he likes to use. They're defenseless. How? They have just as much right to defend themselves as a straight white person. They have just as much right to defend themselves as someone who is not part of the LGBT community. What are you talking about?
Responsible for all the awful things that they're experiencing. They might actually catch wind of who is really responsible for the destruction of their living standards. It's that simple. Like, you might ask yourself that same exact question with Nazi Germany. You know,
Again,
why did they do this?
Buzzwords.
Well, there was tremendous economic instability, and there was a growing momentum of communism, trade unionism, socialism in the country at a time of unprecedented economic volatility in the aftermath of World War I and the damage that that caused. And one group quickly seized on this and redirected that enmity towards social groups.
Okay, so he's making a comparison of Trump to the Nazi Party. He's making a comparison of MAGA to the Nazi Party. He's saying that after World War I, Germany was going through such an economic downturn and a spiritual downturn that one group was able to come to power by screaming such big things. It was because of World War I. Well, Hassan, it's not the same thing. And you're snitching on yourself by saying that we're in some kind of economic downturn because it was created. Who was just in power? The Democrats were in power. If there's an economic downturn, it's because of Democratic policies, not because of Republican policies. The Republicans are not doing the same thing. They're not going out and saying these aren't people. They're saying these people, they're not saying proposing new laws to make these people not people. They're saying we have laws on the books, let's enforce them. It's completely different.
Social groups that were both simultaneously incredibly powerful and also incredibly weak and dangerous. And those groups ended up seizing all of the power while directly collaborating with liberals in power and also with capital owners that wanted to maintain that same hierarchy. They wanted to maintain their same standards of profit. They wanted to continue the way that the system was going. They were more fearful of a workers' revolt or revolution than they were of some kind of fascist control, because fascist control would mean, yeah, sure, a lot of people get killed in the process, but I'm fine. I'm a business owner and I get to maintain my profits. If profits are the highest order of priority for you, you don't care what happens to other people. You don't care what happens to workers. You don't care what happens to
Profits are certainly the highest order of for you. You certainly make quite a bit. Could we say the same about you, that all you care about is making money? You're constantly showing all your fancy clothes and all your stuff. Hell, I saw a video at the LA riots and all you cared about was your hair when a flashbang went off. You said, oh, my hair. I'm pretty sure I can find the clip. See how long it takes me to find that. Because I'm pretty sure I saw it on your thing. Take me back to the top of this page. Watch, I'm going to find this clip. Look at him, he's laughing. People getting hurt, people getting arrested, flash grenades going off, and this clown is laughing. Encouraging his viewers to go out and join this chaos. Yeah.
workers that become non-citizens in the process, as long as those workers don't actually eat away at your profit margins. One reason people in the US don't see fascism creeping is because they can't imagine that something this bad could happen here. Denial is a powerful thing until it's too late. I think that plays a role in this for sure. There's also a lot of people who just simply are like American entitlement, American exceptionalism, American individualism are such powerful forces,
Yep. Yeah, that's what you live pretty much your entire life on, is the political convenience that you have as an American.
powerful cultural forces in this country that a lot of people genuinely don't understand how this will inevitably impact them. Even for selfish reasons, even if you can't recognize the humanity of these people being ripped apart, you can at the very least recognize that, like, when this kind of instability takes root, who's going to fucking pick the fruit? You can think about it.
It's always that. It's always who's going to pick our vegetables. It's always that. That's always what they go down to, because they're trying to dehumanize the opinion of the right, or dehumanize the opinion of anybody who just wants to enforce the law. I'm sick of listening to this guy. I have dogs to go walk. I have other responsibilities. I'll be back on in about 30 minutes. I will not be looking at this dingleberry at all for the rest of the day unless I absolutely have to. I'll be covering more news topics here in a bit. Thank you for watching. Havoc, NT, thank you so much. You guys are the best. Thanks for the stream. Have a good one, guys.